Well, General Eaton, we're not even getting into the broader national security landscape, which is, once you make a strategic mistake, it seems that there's no tactical fix. It's almost like original sin. And people like Brent Scowcroft on Bush's father's team suggested that it was a disaster to go into Iraq in the first place. And now we're learning from the Iraqi intelligence agency that the CIA set up that they're basically, first of all, they're running for their lives because they're being assassinated by the Iranian IRGC. But on the other hand, they're saying that Iraq is going to become a colony of Iran.
That is the long-term vision that the Bush administration never took a long, hard look at. Before you embark upon a military operation, the question is, what do you want the world to look like at the end of this operation? I've chosen not to debate whether or not it was wise or less wise to go into Iraq. It happened. We're there. It is, are you going to be a competent prosecutor of warfare once you've decided to go in there? And not to I mean, there are those who say there's no horse too dead to beat, but the more we hammer this home, the more that we can get on with fixing our future. And I believe that we have a national security architecture problem in the United States. We're still living under the National Security Act of 1947, and I believe that we need to make some profound adjustments to ensure that we do not go into a situation again where all power got concentrated into the executive branch. Congress went to ground, the press watched it happen, and we had inside the executive branch a concentration of power in the hands of the President, the Vice President, and in the Secretary of Defense. And in essence, a constitutional crisis. And America watched it happen. And it's to deny recurrence is, when you say pin the rose and to establish accountability, I think it is very important that we do the post-mortem on this in a very public sense and make some adjustments in our national security architecture so that this doesn't happen again.
And if we are to have that kind of a national after-action report, if you will, it seems to me that one component you didn't add to that, and that is not only was the hubris of this kind of executive overreach and the sort of reckless fantasies of the neoconservatives, it was also our political opposition took a powder. They didn't really step up to the plate in October 2003 with the NIE, which many people on the Democratic Party knew from the Intelligence Committee was insufficient, shall we say, if not bogus.
Correct. And but I also got a civics lesson, Ian. When I testified before the Democratic Policy Committee, I chastised several members of the Senate for failing to do the appropriate investigatory work that they are charged with, to do the subpoena for testimony that I felt needed to happen in order to support other men like General Shinseki, who did speak accurately and truly. And I was told, well, General, that's all well and good, but when you're the minority party, you don't have the right to subpoena. You don't have the right to start an investigation. So, at the age of 55, I guess, I got a civics lesson from a senator who was very polite in delivering that. But there it is.
Well, when you talk about, General Eaton, the need to change the national security architecture since the 1947 Act, are you referring to something that seems to be dysfunctional, and that is that you could argue that we lost in Iraq and in Afghanistan? Not that that's entirely the verdict at this point, but nevertheless, it doesn't look good. Quick victories followed by slow defeats, if you will. and that it was the failure to deliver security to the people, a sense of government, a sense of simple, prosaic things like electricity, roads, infrastructure. And is that what you're suggesting here, that maybe there's that it's putting too much of a load on the military to do both war fighting and nation building?
In 1992-93 time frame, a lieutenant colonel, an Air Force lieutenant colonel named Dunlap, wrote an article for one of our military publications, Parameters, I think it is, The Coup of 2012. If you Google The Coup of 2012, you'll get Dunlap's article. It's about 20 pages, and and this is 92. It lays out what he saw as an increasing reliance upon the military of the United States. Now, when you go to the war colleges, the first thing that happens is welcome practitioners of the military art, realize that you're about a third of the total power of the United States. You share that power with our economic power, with our diplomatic power, slant political. And the Bush administration had a absolute reliance on the military along the lines of Colonel Dunlap's vision, where and again, if all you have is a hammer, the whole world looks to be a nail approach to foreign policy. A failure to organize the executive branch so that, and I had an opportunity to sit down with then Senator Obama, and words to the effect when he asked me what my thoughts were, I said, Senator, when you're president, I would like your Secretary of Agriculture to be at least as interested in the outcome in Afghanistan and in Iraq as is your Secretary of Defense. And that is to develop a mindset that we can bring to bear the full power of the United States to address a problem, that it need not be purely a military effect that we're trying to achieve, but an American effect to ensure that our vital interests are being addressed. An expeditionary quality, if you will, at justice, where when we need to work an issue in Iraq that you address the judiciary, that we've got, it's not just the Department of Defense that can deploy, it is the judiciary can deploy, as well as transportation, as well as agriculture, as well as the commerce, the Surgeon General, all that in the executive branch, where the next closest is state. And I'm kind of long-winded here, but I'm pretty passionate about it. We've got a Secretary of Defense right now, Robert Gates, who absolutely understands this. And in a speech that he gave at the University of Kansas in 2007, it was either KSU or University of Kansas, he understood clearly the mismatch in resourcing of state and Department of Defense. And one of the statistics that he used was we have about the same number of Foreign Service officers as we have for the crew of the aircraft carrier Lincoln. That's a disproportionate allocation of resources to defense, which I'm all for. But our Defense Department is designed to support and defend the United States and to fight the nation's wars. And we soldiers would like to see a little bit of participation from the rest of the executive branch.